morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here with us. So Bruce Bateman from Bateman Research. So Bruce is specialized in wearables and IoT. He travels a lot, like 300 days a year. He knows a lot about all the wearables, what's happening in the healthcare sector. So Bruce, what do you see? What are the trends in healthcare at the moment?
So wearables are going to make a change. The change in wearables right now is taking the data that you have from Fitbit, Microsoft, or Samsung, and taking that into a bigger cloud or bigger platform to analyze, because this collects data about me. There'll be wearables that collect data about your heart. So I have a Bluetooth heart rate monitor. I do glucose, even though I don't have diabetes. I do take my glucose every 3 days just to know a baseline.
Okay.
So that, and I have my heart rate, blood pressure, my SPO too also. And the reason I collect that is as a quantified self, I'm collecting all this data. And the new trend will be for that consumer products to go into Google's Health, Apple's Health, and Microsoft Health, or even third-party health that will actually help you begin to analyze, because my scale that I weigh myself on is different platform than this.
Yeah.
So it's having to bring all that data together. That's the consumer side. But the biggest change is going to become in medical wearables. So medical wearables will be things that are in US FDA approved. So these devices currently are not medically approved. So if it gives you a heart rate of 79, which is my average, that is not medically, that's actually just sort of their prediction of it, or their calculation. So for a medical version of it, you need better sensors, you need better technology. And the trend is now going into that. 2 years ago it was very hard because of the cost, because of the sensors that were around. And to do medical, to do FDA, for example, requires an army of people.
Yeah.
So in small companies, startups like Misfit Shine, which did the original wearables, they couldn't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So that's the trend in the personal area.
Yeah.
And then if you want to look at trends in overall, I guess, wearable technology, we're beginning to start to see much more devices that stick to your skin, because it's better results rather than touching you. So it's devices that stick to your skin that are not patches. They're actually full devices that stick to your skin. That's coming already. Next will be, and some companies, 2 companies have begun to do patches. So we'll start to see some patches. The third generation of that, those patches will actually get its electricity from your skin. Because your skin is, if it's moist, because there's bioelectrical in you. And there are people working on using that as the battery for you.
So you wouldn't have to change them like every
Right.
other day or?
Yeah, so that's another big change that's happening.
Yeah.
Battery life
Okay.
has been a big change. So 2016 and 17, the changes in battery technology, where we are lithium ion today, going to things like lithium ceramic or lithium aluminum, they are longer lasting, smaller, flexible technologies. So there's a lot of new technologies in batteries, and that's going to help a lot. There's also, if you've ever seen a Bluetooth chip, well, I can't show you how small they are because it's smaller than anything I have here. And so Bluetooth and Wi-Fi chips are getting to be so small that the whole system can fit in an earring. So Intel has just announced a new chip, a computer chip, plus a Wi-Fi chip that is the size of the post of your earring. Okay, the little back, that pin, that little bit, that's a whole computer.
Okay.
Now, why is that interesting? Because now I can take that and put it anywhere. I don't have to. And so that's kind of where we see in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
So if you want to talk about 10 years, we can.
But maybe before
Okay.
in there, so you were saying that you like monitoring yourself, you checking your vitals. What, as a consumer, what do you do with the information? Are you adapting your way of living, your way of eating, your way of sleeping based on those information you're collecting?
Yeah, actually, there are two kinds of people. Those who are very strict and say, oh, I have to change, and they will change. Personally, I don't dramatically change. I see, for example, if my blood glucose is a little high, I'll eat less bread.
Okay.
So it's about what I do that day.
Okay.
And I'll say, oh, I see my blood pressure is a little high, I might want to sleep a little, rest a little longer, I may want to change my itinerary, I might want to change a little bit. Instead of working on an airplane, I might sleep. Okay, so I don't think I make dramatic, I have to change.
Yeah.
I make slow changes to my life.
It kind of gives you some guidelines.
Yeah, because I can see where my heart rate has been. I can see what my weight has been. Since I travel so much, I don't have a routine. I can't say I go to this, eat this food every day. So, but I see small changes in my life. Now, the next thing is I do carry it on a USB stick. So should I ever go to a doctor somewhere in the world, I can give him that USB stick and say, this is my life. Now, my 79 average heart rate in my, I'm not going to tell you my blood pressure, in my blood pressure, you can see trending for 3 years. When you take it, you can see how much it's gone up.
Okay.
All right, because the doctor doesn't know me.
Yeah.
The doctor's not going to be my doctor for the last 10 years.
Exactly.
And even if you're in an emergency, a very good friend of mine had his own doctor in his hometown. He actually had he's a very, very rich man. He had the doctor on retainer. Anytime he was sick, the doctor would come to his house, everything. He ended up going on a business trip, got sick and died. His doctor was not there. His doctor was at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So his doctor all that knowledge that his doctor had about him was useless because no one had called his doctor. So, and to get the information. So, that's what I'm saying. That's why I carry my own data with me.
But how do you organize that data? Do you use like a...
right for doctors, I'm doing an Excel spreadsheet because I know they can open an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
Okay. For me, I'm going to different services and even my own. I've developed some of my own stuff for myself, not for commercial use, but to analyze trends in my life.
Okay.
Now, the new thing that is coming is the ability to use this special infrared lighting to try to understand the value of food. You're seeing 2 or 3 companies now who have begun to do this. Because the one thing I have most trouble with is how many calories am I taking in? This tells me how many calories they think I'm taking out based upon movement and sleep and all. But how many calories am I bringing in? That's what the new science is. Right now you'll see 2 or 3 companies and they're using a spectrum analyzer which is available in science labs. So if you want to take some food, you go to a science lab here in Barcelona. They have this big $80,000 spectrum analyzer and they'll tell you everything about it. The goal now is to bring that into a handheld that you can carry around. There are people who make scales. You bring a little bitty scale, you put it down, you weigh your food. When you finish the food, you minus the plate.
Okay.
You figure it out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little gimmicks.
Yeah.
But it's about ease of use, usability. How many times will you actually do it? If you go to a nice dinner party, where you go?
Exactly.
Or you skip it. So, there's, this is where we have to. Now, in some countries, restaurants are posting QR codes with the nutritional values and how much salt and everything is in a typical dish. So that I think will become a trend in restaurants. As technology such as augmented reality comes, For example, I have a friend who has an augmented reality company in the US, and when you take your phone and you put it on top of the menu, the ingredients of the menu come out. And it'll tell you on the screen, we use this kind of beef, and there's 14 grams of salt, and this and that in this food. So they've had that food analyzed, even though it's a custom made every time. They made one, they had it analyzed, and they're able to tell you the ingredients and the salt content. So that's another trend, because when you say, how do I defend, or how do I know what I'm doing? That's the hardest part today.
Okay. And so 10 years from now, how do you see the future of wearables?
So
the future of...
So wearables will not be wearables. The future is where technology will be on you or in you. The reason for that is Sunny Vu from Misfit Shine says, if you forget your cell phone at home, will you go back and get it? If you forget your wallet, will you get it? If you forget your watch, will you go back and get it? 10% of the people, yes. 90% probably no. So in order to get constant and consistent data, we're going to need to be wearing patches. In 10 years, you'll begin to see what we call nanobots. So a nanobot is a blood cell size robot. It's not a robot as we know it today, but it's a device that has it can travel a path. These bots will have an enzyme. I'm not a medical professional, so I can only tell you the technology, not the actual, but they'll have an enzyme on it that will, when it touches cholesterol, it will then pull a piece of that cholesterol, it will stick to it. And then these devices will have a small propellant or a way of traveling, and they will then exit your body. So you'll go to sleep, they'll put a stent, like when you go to the hospital, they will then fill you with 1 million of these little devices. They'll go in through your blood, they'll collect the cholesterol, and they will exit. So that is that. I'm going to give you the second half of this. Okay. So the next one, and currently University of North Carolina and a few other universities are doing, is taking this packaging of medicine, and there's a wrapper around the medicine, just like you have a pill today. But what's the difference is when this outside packaging touches a cancer cell, it will dissolve the outer, and then the medicine will just touch to the cancer cell. So there are people testing that in animals today. So if you ask, in 5 to 10 years, we'll begin human testing. Now, in that same time period for medicine, we will have what we call self-piloted cars. Today we have self-guided cars, cars that can change lane. But in 10 years, we'll begin to have truly self-driving cars, probably 10 to 15 years. So the problem in cars today, so Henry Ford built the car, he had one bug in it that was never fixed. Do you know what that bug is?
No.
The driver. So to fix the driver, we're doing self-driving cars. So today when you buy a nice Audi or BMW, when the tires go flat, it can fix itself. So that problem is gone. All the motors are engined, the car is being tracked. So now we have self-driving. So what does that mean? That means we have less accidents. But that changes our society when we have less accidents. So with the new medical that I have cleaning your blood, less car accidents, we need less trauma doctors and more preventive doctors. More doctors who can spend time to analyze you, not 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, or trauma doctors. So the medical industry and insurance industry is going to change. But especially in the medical, I think you're going to have the ability for doctors to actually do what they were trained to do, which is stay and analyze a history of you. Being able to see you in a true VR 3D with all of your data and saying to you, I believe you need to do this. The last change is going to come. It's going to be the way we dispense medicine. The way we do pills today, they have vegetable hours and all this other stuff. And that's got to change. And that will change into some kind of liquid, customized, 3D printed, not 3D printed, but sort of HP printer. You buy your pills and then you put your cup underneath it, and every day it tells you what you need. So you might, right now I poke myself for glucose, but I might poke myself and it gives me more than just glucose. It tells me more, and I will every day, either evasively or non-evasively, but I can, hopefully by then it'll be non-evasive. I will do that, and it will then tell me what should that cocktail be. Yeah. And it will then dispense it for me. I take it. And that, I think, is going to be the future of medicine.
Okay. That sounds very exciting.
I think it is exciting because, but there's one last point to this, sorry. Now that, in my lifetime, I'm hoping to see all of this. But there's only one question you have to ask me. Do you have enough money to survive? So I expect to live to 85, estimate 80, my father's 88 now. My mother passed away at 83. So between 85 and 98, I hope to live. But if I have all this done to me, I might live to 90. I might live to 95. Do I have 10 to 15 years of savings? Yeah. What happens to our society? This is what the research paper we're doing right now is. What is the impact on our society of that? So I'm not prepared, but you might have enough warning to prepare that much money, but I have not been warned. So, these are the social aspects of healthcare advancements. That is sort of almost the downside. Now, the one thing I haven't talked about, which is where I hope the most research is being done, is so I can give you an exoskeleton to walk. I can give you a self-driving car to drive around. I can give you moving chairs. What I need now is the brain. So after I finish this paper, my next work will be on researching what advances are coming in brain improvements. Okay. That is the one thing I need the most.
We want to hear about that.
Next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Bruce, maybe a last word. So you're going to be at the Mobile World Capital Shanghai in June. Can you tell us 2 words about that?
Yeah, so in June 28th to July 1, is the Mobile World Congress Shanghai. It's the same event that we have here in Barcelona, but it's actually in Asia, more Asia focused. It's about 70,000 people will be there. It's a very, very large event. And the nice thing is you get to see what's happening in healthcare. There is a healthcare program there. Okay. Last year it was about elderly care and talking about retirement villages and how to build, what needs to be built to do a retirement village, the technology, what kind of robots, etc. So that was talked about last year. This year we'll see what the agenda, we're still working on the agenda, but I'm very excited that there will be, and I welcome everybody to come. It's a little bit warm that time, but so you don't have to wear a suit, but it's a fun time in Shanghai. Shanghai is a great city to visit.
Okay, well, see you in Shanghai.
See you in Shanghai.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.